Each morning is a doorway, quiet, unassuming, but behind it lies a world waiting to be shaped. You open your eyes, and without knowing, you stand at the edge of what could be the most important hour of your life. This hour, the very first, holds more power than we're often willing to believe. But most people miss it. They roll over, silencing alarms, checking screens, running late before they've even left the bed. And with that, the tone is set not by intention, but by reaction. A theme of chaos, a theme of noise, a theme of lost time. But it doesn't have to be that way. When you rise with purpose, something shifts. The silence of the morning becomes your canvas. The stillness becomes your ally. You're no longer reacting to the world. You're building yours from the inside. Out, still, the weight of yesterday often tries to follow. Regrets, worries, conversations replaying in your mind. You carry them like invisible luggage, unaware of how heavy they truly are. But today is not yesterday, and it never will be again. You have to let it go, not just as a mental exercise, but as an act of faith. You close the chapter, and more importantly, you refuse to let the ink from the past bleed into the pages of your present. So now, in this sacred space between waking and rushing, what do? You choose a ritual, not one copied from someone else, but one that honors your purpose. Maybe it's prayer, maybe it's writing, maybe it's just breathing deeply and remembering that you're alive. Truly alive, and that this breath, this minute, is yours alone to command. It doesn't have to be loud. In fact, the quieter, the better, because there is a divine strength in silence, a voice that only speaks when the world goes still. And in that whisper, you might hear something greater than your plans. You might hear truth, and that's where discipline begins, not in pressure, but in clarity. You start to see that every choice in this hour is a seed. Will you plant distraction? Or will you plant peace? Will you feed your fears? Or will you nourish your future? No one sees this part of your day. There are no rewards, no applause. But these hidden choices, they echo. They build the structure that will either hold you up or collapse under the weight of the day. And yet, we treat time like it's infinite. We waste it scrolling, numbing, waiting for the right moment. But today is the moment, and it will never come back. So, let me ask you something. Have you ever thought about how different your life might be if you treated your first hour as sacred? Not rushed, not reactive, but holy. Because if you win that hour, you just might win the day. What do you think so far? Does this resonate with you? If you're still here, thank you, truly. That already tells me something important. It tells me you're not here for shortcuts or empty motivation. You're here because something inside you wants more. And you sense it. It doesn't come from doing more, but from being more. Let's go deeper. You see, in the quiet of the morning, there's no one else to impress. No audience, no deadlines, just you and God. And the choices you make when no one is watching. And those are the choices that matter most, because they reveal you when no one's looking. That's the real you, and the real you has power untapped, often forgotten, but always present. We live in a world obsessed with noise, with urgency, with comparison. But peace doesn't come from running faster. It comes from stopping, from breathing, from remembering who you are before the world tries to tell you otherwise. And here's the truth. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a consistent start, even if it's messy, even if it's small, because discipline is not born in grand gestures. It's forged in the furnace of repetition, in the small, Faithful acts that no one sees, but that God honors. Wake up and pray even when you don't feel like it. Write down your thoughts even if they make no sense. Speak gratitude even when life feels heavy. These are the tools that sharpen your soul. And when you do that long enough, something incredible happens. You begin to change the way you see yourself. You no longer feel like a victim of the day, you feel like the author of it. You begin to see obstacles differently. They're not interruptions, they're invitations to stretch, to grow, to become the kind of person who's not shaken by storms, because you've built your foundation before the rain even started. This kind of inner strength, it's not flashy, but it's real. And when others break under pressure, you will stand not because you're stronger, but because you were prepared. You trained in the quiet when it didn't seem to matter, but it always mattered. And now, you begin to see how your first hour becomes your anchor. It steadies you, grounds you, reminds you that before the world pulls you in all directions, you are already claimed, already chosen, already enough. And isn't that what we're really searching for? Not more noise, but clarity. Not more to do, but more of who we truly are. This morning your next one can be different, but only if you choose to see it as sacred, because the greatest tragedy is not failure. It's waking up with a gift in your hands and never opening it. There is a moment right after waking when your heart is most honest, before the demands of the world come knocking, before the distractions scream for your attention. There's a brief stillness where your soul whispers the truth, and in that whisper, you can hear what matters most. But most people skip past that moment. They drown it in caffeine and chaos, in schedules and screens. And then they wonder why life feels shallow, why peace feels distant, why joy seems reserved for someone else, but not you. You're starting to notice that stillness. You're starting to listen. And that changes everything. Because when you begin your day in alignment, you walk differently. You talk differently. You respond with more patience, more clarity, more grace. You are no longer surviving the day. You're leading it. And leadership, true leadership, always begins with self. With order, with rhythm. There's a sacred rhythm to the morning, if you choose to hear it. A cadence designed not by society, but by something greater. The rising of the sun, the quiet of the air, the promise of renewal. It's not just poetic, it's divine design. Even scripture reminds us, His mercies are new every morning. What a gift, what a reset. What an invitation to begin again. And yet, we resist, we hold on to guilt, we carry shame. We bring yesterday's failures into today's clean slate. But you don't have to. You're allowed to let go. Not because you're pretending everything is fine, but because you're choosing to move forward. Choosing to build a life rooted in forgiveness, in discipline, in faith. That choice doesn't erase the past. It transforms it. It redeems it. And redemption always starts with humility, the kind that wakes up early. Not to prove something, but to receive something. Wisdom, peace, vision. These are not found in the noise. They're found in the quiet. And the morning is where they live. But it's not just about silence. It's about structure, about choosing the practices that anchor you. A walk, a verse, a journal entry, a glass of water, a stretch, a prayer. They seem small, insignificant. But they are the scaffolding of transformation, because they remind you that your life is not shaped by big events, but by small, faithful choices repeated daily. And there's something powerful, almost sacred, about knowing that today, once again, you get to choose. Not what happens to you, but how you show up. That choice is yours, and no one can take it from you. There's a quiet warning that lives inside every sunrise. It says, this is your chance. Don't waste it. But most people don't hear it not because it isn't speaking, but because they've grown used to ignoring what's sacred. We scroll instead of reflect. We rush instead of rest. We chase instead of build. But something inside you is waking up. You're starting to feel eternal. Maybe not of pain, but of potential. Like there's more to you than you've been living. More strength, more purpose, more peace. But to access that, you must do something most won't. You must slow down. You must sit with your own thoughts, your own fears, your own dreams, and not run from them, not distract yourself, but stay, breathe, listen. That's hard, isn't it? It's easier to be busy, to check boxes, to perform. But real growth, that comes in the stillness. When you choose to face the parts of yourself that you buried beneath the noise, and when you do that, something sacred happens. You begin to remember who you were before the world tried to tell you who to be, you see. The morning doesn't ask you to be productive. It asks you to be present. It invites you into a deeper kind of work, the work of the soul, the invisible kind, the work that changes your life without anyone noticing until they do. Because you'll start speaking differently, moving differently, choosing differently, and people will ask, what changed? But the truth is, it wasn't one big moment. It was 1,000 small ones. Like choosing to get up instead of sleeping. Like choosing to pray instead of scroll. Like choosing to pause instead of panic. These are the decisions that don't look impressive, but they build something inside you that can't be taken away. They build integrity, and integrity, real integrity, is rare. It means you act with purpose even when no one sees, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, because that's when it counts the most. And maybe you're realizing that's what you've been craving all along. Not a better schedule, not more motivation, but alignment. A life that reflects what you believe. A day that flows from your values. A morning that sets the tone for everything that follows. That's the invitation. Not to be perfect, but to be intentional. To treat the beginning of each day as holy ground. Because once this day is gone, it's gone forever. By now, you've probably realized something. This was never about time. It was about meaning. About what you do with the moments no one sees. About the quiet decisions that build your character long before the world gives you recognition. Because the truth is, success doesn't begin with applause. It begins in the dark, in discipline, in choosing to show up before you feel ready, before anyone tells you to, before there's even a result to show. And morning, the very first hour of morning, is your proving ground. It's where intention is tested, where commitment is formed, where identity is shaped. But more than that, it's where you meet God in the silence, where you face yourself without masks, where you remember that you were made for more than schedules and tasks and endless striving. You were made for a purpose. You were made to lead your life, not just react to it. And that starts the moment you wake. Every morning gives you the power to choose the kind of person you will be that day. Will you be centered or scattered, grateful or resentful, driven by vision or pulled by noise? It's not about perfection. It never was. It's about presence, being fully here, fully awake, not just to your to-do list, but to your soul. Because when you're present, you notice beauty again. The way the light hits the wall, the sound of your breath. The warmth of your coffee, the beating of your heart, each one a reminder you're alive. And that alone is enough to begin again. No matter what happened yesterday. No matter what mistakes you made. Today is not a repeat. It's not a continuation. It's a clean page. and what you write on it begins with how you show up in that first hour. So don't take it lightly. Don't rush through it. Don't hand it away to distraction. Or doubt, or delay. Guard it. Protect it like sacred ground. Because that first hour, it's not just a part of your day. It is the seed of your legacy. And once it's gone, it will never happen again.